Have you ever thought of rejection as life's way of breaking you down? That sinking moment when someone says no, when a door closes in your face, when the job you wanted, the relationship you prayed for, or the recognition you deserve slips right through your fingers. It feels like the universe is conspiring against you. But what if rejection isn't a curse at all? What if it's the very spark you need to transform yourself into someone stronger, sharper, and mentally untouchable? This is not about denying the sting. Rejection hurts. Marcus Aurelius himself admitted that life will often test us in ways that scrape against the soul. But the Stoics believe that pain can be redirected, that every no can become the soil from which greater strength grows. The question is not whether you'll face rejection. You will. The real question is, will you let it weaken you, or will you use it as a weapon for your own transformation? Today, we're unlocking 12 brutal Stoic lessons on how to turn rejection to your favor, not through tricks or illusions, but through a shift so deep it rewires how you respond to life itself. These aren't abstract theories, they are battle-tested mindsets that Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca lived by. And they apply just as powerfully to your modern struggles as they did 2,000 years ago. So, if you've been ignored, denied, dismissed, or cast aside, lean in, because by the end of this journey, rejection won't look like your enemy anymore. It will look like your teacher. Lesson 1. Reframe the no as a hidden yes. Rejection feels final, as though one person's refusal is the ultimate verdict on your worth. But here's the truth the Stoics knew: rejection often hides a redirection. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." That closed door, that painful no, may be the very thing pointing you toward a better opportunity, one you couldn't see before. Think about it. How many times in your life has a denial eventually led you to something greater? The job you didn't get that made space for a better role. The relationship that ended so you could discover a love built on respect, not dependency. At first, the pain blinds you. But with time, you realize the rejection was guiding you. The practical application. The next time you're turned away, resist the instinct to dwell on loss. Instead, ask, what is this no clearing space for? What path might now be available that was hidden before? This is not wishful thinking, it's strategy. A rejection is feedback data from the universe. It says, not here, not now. Your task is to pivot, not collapse. By refraining rejection as a hidden yes, you strip it of its power to wound you. You stop seeing it as a personal attack and begin seeing it as direction. That mindset doesn't just soften the sting, it sharpens your ability to move forward with purpose. So the next time rejection knocks, look deeper. What appears as denial may be the very signal you've been waiting for. 2. Don't react emotionally. Rejection is a spark. It can light a fire of anger, sadness, or even desperation if we're not careful. The instinct to lash out, to plead, or to crumble under its sting is almost automatic. But here's where Stoicism offers a shield: emotional composure. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that the world would not always treat him kindly, but he also reminded himself that he controlled his response. And that's the secret weapon you have to. When someone says no or closes a door on you, the natural pull is to react, to prove yourself, to chase after their approval. But what if you resisted that impulse? What if you chose stillness instead of storm? That's Stoic strength. Think of it this way: rejection is not the dagger, your reaction. If you let emotions take control, you cut yourself deeper. But if you step back, breathe, and observe the moment without attaching your ego to it, you'll see it for what it really is: a temporary event, not a final judgment of your worth. So, how do you practice this? First, pause. When that sting hits, don't fire back an angry message or spiral into self-pity. Instead, Sit with the discomfort for a moment. Let the emotions pass through you without clinging to them. Then ask yourself, why does this bother me so much? Often, it's not the rejection itself, but the story you've attached to it. Stories of not being good enough, worthy enough, capable enough. Here's where the shift happens. Recognize that those stories aren't truth. They're assumptions born of fear. By keeping calm, by not reacting, you show yourself and the world that you are master of your emotions, not a slave to them. This doesn't mean you suppress your feelings or pretend the pain isn't there. It means you acknowledge it without letting it steer the ship. Your dignity, your self-worth, remains intact because you've chosen to respond with clarity, not chaos. People are drawn to those who don't crumble under rejection. Calmness in the face of dismissal is not weakness, it's power. It's the quiet confidence of someone who knows their value runs deeper than anyone else's opinion. Rejection becomes the test, and when you meet it with composure, you pass with flying colors, not because you won their approval, but because you refuse to lose yourself in the process. 3. Remove them from your mind. One of the most destructive mistakes we make after rejection is allowing the person or the event to live rent-free in our minds. We replay the moment, analyze every word, every glance, as if somewhere inside the memory is a hidden code that will explain everything. But all that does is chain you to the very thing you're trying to escape. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That includes the power to release people and situations that do not serve your peace. So, here's the practice. When someone rejects you, don't keep dragging them into your thoughts. See it as placing a heavy stone in your backpack. You can either carry it everywhere you go, or you can set it down and walk lighter. The choice is yours. This doesn't mean pretending it never happened. It means accepting it, learning what lesson there is to learn, and then redirecting your focus back to life itself. Fill your mind with better material, books that stretch your thinking, challenges that test your skills, conversations with people who bring energy instead of draining it. Detachment here is not coldness. It's discipline. It's refusing to let your happiness hang on the decisions of others. Rejection, at its core, is simply someone else saying this is not for you. Why hold on to that when life has 1,000 other paths waiting to be explored? And here's the powerful truth. When you stop thinking about them, you reclaim control. Your silence in thought becomes strength in action. You're not obsessing over their absence. You're building a presence of your own. By removing them from your mind, you don't erase the rejection, you transform it. You prove to yourself that you are not defined by the attention of others, but by the quality of your own focus. In that way, every rejection becomes lighter, every disappointment less sharp, because you've trained your mind not to carry unnecessary burdens. And when the mind is light, the spirit can move freely toward growth. 4. Demonstrate your value. Rejection often feels like a verdict that you are not enough, not skilled enough, not wanted. But a Stoic would say, rejection is not proof of your lack. It is simply an invitation to reveal your worth in ways that cannot be ignored. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. The same applies here. Don't argue with those who overlooked you. Don't beg them to see your potential. Show it, live it, embody it. When someone dismisses you in a meeting, instead of sulking in silence, create work so remarkable that it speaks louder than words. When a relationship ends, instead of trying to prove your worth to the person who walked away, invest in yourself so deeply that your life itself becomes a statement. I am still whole. I am still rising. This is not about revenge. It's not about making them regret their decision. It's about realignment, about channeling the sting of rejection into the fuel for growth. A door may have closed, but perhaps that was never your door. The true challenge is to build doors of your own and walk through them with dignity. Think of rejection as a mirror. It doesn't show you that you are unworthy. It shows you where you must strengthen, where you must sharpen your edge. Maybe it reveals areas of complacency you've ignored. Maybe it awakens in you the urgency to push further, to refine your craft, to claim the resilience you've been neglecting. Demonstrating your value is not loud. It's steady. It's waking up earlier to study when no one is watching. It's taking the initiative no one else wants to take. It's building a life that stands as quiet proof of your determination. The moment you stop trying to prove your worth to those who rejected you and start simply living it, you no longer need their validation. You no longer need them to see you. Your actions, your growth, your progress, they will speak on your behalf. To the world and to yourself. Rejection then becomes the sculptor's chisel. It carves you, sharpens you, and shapes you into something greater than you were before. And the best way to honor that process, not through bitterness, but through excellence. 5. Cut off contact. There is a power most people underestimate, the power of silence. When rejection strikes, the first impulse is often to chase, to reach out, to ask why, to try and force a resolution. But the Stoics would advise something different: to step back, to embrace distance, to cut off contact, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. When you stop engaging with the person or situation that rejected you, you are reclaiming your power. You are declaring that your value is not up for negotiation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Cutting off contact is simply an application of that principle. You cannot control the person who dismissed you, but you can control the energy you give to them. This silence is not passive. It is active and intentional. It is not about playing games or waiting for someone to notice your absence. It is about creating the space to heal, to reflect, and to redirect your energy back into yourself. When you cut contact, you interrupt the cycle of obsession and overthinking. You close the door on endless what-if questions, and you remind yourself that life must move forward, with or without them. Think of silence as a fortress. Within it, you regain clarity. You are no longer reacting to their words, their absence, or their disinterest. Instead, you are building yourself from within. You focus on your goals. You pursue your passions. You strengthen the relationships with people who do value you. Silence is not empty. It is full of growth. And there is another quiet truth. In a world addicted to constant communication, silence is powerful. It shows that you are not desperate. It shows that you have a life rich enough to continue without their presence. It signals resilience, dignity, and independence. Even if they never notice your silence, you will notice how much stronger you become because of it. Rejection is not a call to chase. It is a call to retreat inward and emerge stronger. Cutting off contact is not cruelty. It is clarity. It is the moment you choose peace over chaos, strength over weakness, and dignity over desperation. 6. Prove them wrong. Every rejection plants a seed. For some, it becomes a thorn that festers with bitterness. For others, it becomes fuel. The Stoics believed that obstacles are not blockages, but stepping stones. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." When someone rejects you, they are in essence doubting your worth, your ability, or your potential. And here is where your response matters most. You can collapse under the weight of their dismissal, or you can rise and let their rejection sharpen you. You don't have to respond with words. You respond with results. Think about history's greatest figures. Thomas Edison was told he was too stupid to learn anything. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper because he lacked imagination. Oprah Winfrey was told she was unfit for television. Each rejection could have ended them. Instead, they turned rejection into a challenge. a quiet vow to prove the world wrong. This doesn't mean seeking revenge, it means redirecting the sting of rejection into discipline, into building, creating, and striving until the very thing that disqualified you becomes your strongest proof of greatness. The Stoics remind us that true revenge is not in hurting those who doubt us, but in becoming so excellent that their doubts are rendered irrelevant. Proving them wrong is not about them, it is about you. It is about rising to a level where rejection no longer even registers, because your value is so self-evident, so undeniable, that no one can dismiss it. Rejection, then, is simply an unintentional gift, pushing you to become what you were meant to be all along. So, let every no you hear echo back as fuel. Let every closed door ignite your persistence. Let every rejection refine you into someone stronger, sharper, and unstoppable. For in the Stoic way, rejection is never the end. It is the beginning of your proving ground. Lesson 7. The Stoic Art of Patience. Rejection has a way of rushing you. It whispers that you need to fix everything now, prove yourself now, be accepted now. It tricks you into believing that your worth is measured by how quickly you bounce back or how fast you gain the approval of others. But the Stoics understood something deeper. They knew that impatience is often the true enemy, not the rejection itself. Think of Marcus Aurelius, sitting under the weight of an empire. Every day, he faced betrayal, resistance, and the harshness of human nature. He could have demanded immediate resolution, could have lashed out at those who stood against him. But instead, he wrote quietly in his journal, reminding himself, "Time is a river, a violent current of events, glimpsed once and carried past us, and another follows and is gone." To the Stoics, patience was not weakness. It was a weapon. When others reacted in haste, they chose stillness. When others panicked at closed doors, they waited for the right one to open. Rejection may sting in the moment, but what feels like an ending today may reveal itself as preparation tomorrow. Ask yourself, how many times have you thought your life was ruined only to look back years later and realize it was just a redirection? How many moments of despair eventually became the soil for unexpected growth? The problem is never the rejection. It is the mind that demands instant answers, instant validation, instant closure. The patient person is untouchable because time itself becomes their ally, while the impatient fall into bitterness and rash decisions. The patient endure, observe, and adapt. They do not chase every fleeting opportunity. They let what is not meant for them slip away without panic. So the next time rejection presses against your chest, resist the urge to wrestle with it immediately. Instead, step back. Give it space. Allow time to reveal what you cannot yet see. Like a sculptor who chips away slowly at stone, patience allows you to shape your destiny with precision rather than desperation. The world belongs not to those who rush, but to those who wait with strength. The Stoic does not demand that life bends instantly to their will. They walk with it, step by step, trusting that what is theirs cannot be denied forever. Lesson 8. The Freedom of Detachment. Rejection hurts because you are too attached. Attached to outcomes, to opinions, to roles you thought were yours forever. You want the job, the relationship, the recognition, and when it slips through your hands, you feel as if you've lost yourself. But the Stoics would tell you this: you cannot lose what was never yours to control. Epictetus lived as a slave, stripped of freedom, status, and power. Yet he discovered a truth that few ever learn. He said, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." Those words are the very foundation of Stoicism. They cut like a blade through the illusions we build around control. You do not control who accepts you. You do not control who loves you. You do not control whether doors open or close. What you control is your response, your thoughts, your inner state. The reason rejection breaks people is because they confuse possession with identity. They think, if I don't get this, I am nothing. But this is slavery to desire. You're no longer living freely. You're chained to conditions that were never in your power. The Stoic frees himself by detaching. He steps back and says, this was never mine. This was never promised to me, but my mind, my virtue, my strength, that remains untouched. Detachment is not apathy. It is not saying, I don't care. It is saying, I care, but I do not depend. There's a difference. To desire without dependence is freedom. To work without clinging to the result is power. To love without needing to be loved back is liberation. Ask yourself, how much of your suffering comes not from the rejection itself, but from the story you tell about what that rejection means? You tell yourself, I am unworthy. I am invisible. I am broken. But what if you detached from that story? What if rejection was just a shift in the path, not a reflection of your value? When you master detachment, you discover an untouchable strength. Rejection no longer shakes you because you were never standing on unstable ground to begin with. Your foundation is within you, not outside of you. So, when life closes a door in your face, remember this Stoic truth. The door was never yours. What is yours cannot be taken. What is not yours cannot be kept. Detach, and you will walk through life free, fearless, and untouchable. Lesson 9. The power of voluntary hardship. Rejection feels unbearable because you are soft. Your comfort has made you fragile, and so when the world denies you, it feels like a blow you cannot withstand. But the Stoics trained themselves differently. They did not wait for life to strike. They walked into the fire willingly. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men of Rome, would deliberately sleep on the floor, eat coarse bread, and wear the roughest clothes. Why? To remind himself that rejection, loss, and discomfort were nothing to fear. He said, set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself, is this the condition I feared? This is the heart of voluntary hardship. You make yourself stronger by exposing yourself to the sting of denial before life forces it upon you. You practice losing, so that when real loss comes, you remain unbroken. You practice hearing no, so that rejection becomes as ordinary as the wind passing through your ears. Modern life teaches you to seek ease at every turn, the soft bed, the constant validation, the endless digital approval. But this very comfort dulls your spirit. It makes rejection feel catastrophic because you've trained yourself to expect a yes at all times. The Stoic does the opposite. He trains himself to thrive in hunger and cold, in loneliness, in failure. When rejection comes, it does not shock him. It simply confirms what he already rehearsed. There is freedom in choosing your pain before life chooses it for you. Every time you push yourself into discomfort, fasting, silence, rejection, solitude, you strip fear of its power. You build the kind of mind that no insult, no betrayal, no slammed door can shatter. Ask yourself, when was the last time you did something that hardened your spirit? Not for glory, not for applause, but simply to prove to yourself that rejection and discomfort have no dominion over you. The lesson is clear. If you wish to be untouchable, you must practice what others run away from. The one who seeks comfort becomes fragile. The one who trains in discomfort becomes free. Lesson 10. Master the interval between stimulus and response. Most people are prisoners of their own impulses. A word cuts them, and they react with anger. A door closes on them, and they sink into despair. Rejection stings, and they collapse as if the world has ended. But the Stoics taught a hidden power, one that separates the weak from the unbreakable. It is the mastery of the space between stimulus and response. Epictetus said it plainly, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. Rejection is not the wound, it is your judgment of it. The insult is not the pain, it is your agreement that it should matter. There is always a brief moment, a sliver of time, in which you can decide how to interpret what has happened. That moment is your freedom. Modern psychology confirms this. Viktor Frankl, survivor of the concentration camps, wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." He lived through unimaginable rejection, not only of his person but of his dignity, his family, his very humanity. Yet in that small interval, he found the freedom that his captors could not take away. When you are rejected, most of the suffering comes not from the rejection itself, but from the flood of automatic thoughts that follow. I'm worthless. I'll never succeed. They all hate me. I should give up. But in that instant before you surrender to those thoughts, you can choose. You can decide, this is not a verdict on me. This is training. This is fuel. Think about it. A rejection email arrives. Instead of clicking into despair, what if you pause for 3 breaths, inhale, hold, and exhale? In that silence, you reclaim the throne of your mind. Instead of reacting, you respond. Instead of collapsing, you construct. This is how the Stoic becomes untouchable, not by controlling the world, but by controlling the one thing that can never be taken away from them, which is their response to the world. The mastery of that interval is the difference between the ordinary man and the Stoic sage. The ordinary man is dragged by his emotions like a prisoner in chains. The sage holds the chains in his own hands. He feels the pull, but he decides when to move. Ask yourself, how often do you give away that interval? How often do you let rejection command your next move instead of pausing to command yourself? The one who can master this pause, who can stretch the space between what happens and what he does, cannot be broken. Lesson 11. Indifference to the crowd. Rejection hurts most when it feels public. When the crowd sees you denied, ignored, or cast aside, the sting multiplies. Humans are wired to crave belonging. To be rejected before others feels like exile, as though the tribe has marked you unworthy. This fear is ancient. To be cast out of the group once meant death. But in the modern world, this same instinct enslaves us. It makes us desperate for approval and terrified of rejection. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "It never ceases to amaze me, we all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Think of that contradiction. You live with yourself every moment of your life, yet you hand over your peace to the fleeting judgment of strangers. The Stoics saw the crowd as fickle, unstable, and dangerous. Seneca warned that following the masses often meant following them into madness. Today, the crowd takes the form of social media, gossip at the workplace, the shallow theater of status and appearances. Rejection in these arenas feels devastating, but only because you've given the crowd too much power. Ask yourself, who are these people whose opinions you fear? Will they matter in a year? Will they even remember the moment that now haunts you? When you zoom out, you see the absurdity. You are trading away your inner fortress for shadows. To become untouchable, you must practice indifference to the crowd. Not disdain, not arrogance, but indifference. Their cheers do not inflate you, their boos do not deflate you. Whether they approve or reject, your compass remains steady. This is what Epictetus meant when he said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Can you bear being misunderstood? Can you endure the sneers, the whispers, the silent exile of the crowd? If you can, you will know a freedom few ever taste. Because the truth is, the crowd does not care as much as you think. They move on. They forget, but you carry their judgment like a weight chain to your soul. The Stoic cuts that chain. Picture yourself walking into a room. Some look away. Some laugh. Some whisper. A younger version of you shrinks, feels the sting of rejection. But the Stoic within you smiles inwardly. He knows their opinions are smoke, their judgments are shadows, their rejection is meaningless. He walks on, untouched. This is the lesson. Liberation comes not from controlling the crowd, but from ceasing to need them. The moment you no longer beg for their acceptance, rejection loses its sting. Lesson 12. Amor fati, love of fate. There is one Stoic law that stands above all others. It is not merely about enduring rejection, nor even about rising above it. It is about embracing it, loving it, making it your own. The law is amor fati, the love of fate. Most people treat rejection as an enemy. They resist it, resent it, carry it like a scar. Even the strong may endure it with gritted teeth, but deep down they still wish it had never happened. The Stoic takes another path. He does not merely accept rejection, he welcomes it as if it were a friend sent to guide him. Nietzsche later gave this idea his name, amor fati. He said, "My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity." Marcus Aurelius said it in his own way. A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. To love fate means to look at rejection, not as an obstacle, but as material. A sculptor does not curse the marble for being hard, he strikes it again and again until form emerges. So it is with rejection. Each no, each door slammed, each exile from the crowd is raw material for your becoming. This is the ultimate freedom. You no longer pray for life to be smooth. You no longer beg for doors to open. You take whatever comes, loss, betrayal, failure, rejection, and you weave it into your power. Nothing is wasted, everything is fuel. Think of the times you were rejected. The job you didn't get, the person who turned you away, the opportunity that slipped through your hands. Were these not the very moments that shaped you most deeply? Did they not force you onto paths you would have never walked otherwise? What if, instead of mourning them, you could say with full conviction, "Yes, this too was meant for me. This too I love." That is what it means to be untouchable. Not that rejection cannot reach you, but that it cannot harm you. Because you have chosen to transmute it into strength. Every denial is a redirection. Every closed door is a command to build your own. Every exile is an invitation to sovereignty. The final Stoic law is not about control, but surrender. A deep, defiant surrender. To say, "I want nothing different. I need no approval. I fear no rejection. I love whatever comes." That is amor fati. That is the fire that no storm can extinguish. So remember, the goal was never to escape rejection. It was to become so vast, so inwardly fortified, so in love with your fate, that rejection itself bows before you. The unshakable mind, the indifference to the crowd, the voluntary hardships, the pause between stimulus and response all lead to this final truth. Love your rejection, love your fate, and in doing so, become untouchable.